So today I've got some tips on how you can divide some of your perennials. And if you divide your perennials, you can then spread them out throughout your yard, or if you want to, you can share them with friends. It's kind of just a nice thing that perennials do for you, at least many of them do. And I would just want to show you some of the ones that I know are super easy to divide and to spread out, because some of them will be more complicated or might have little things that you can only do them at certain times. The ones I'm going to tell you about today are the ones that we find are super simple and we always have great success with. So the first one is going to be Yarrow. So yarrow is best known for these beautiful golden flowers. It also comes in pinks and reds, and it's also known as quite a spreader in the garden. So sometimes you have to be careful, but that can work to your advantage if you're trying to cover a lot of space. And if you want to divide it, it's a super easy one. It's really generous that way. So you can see like this yarrow fills this pot, and there's a whole bunch of little ones all throughout. What we generally do is we take it out of the pot and we just cut it right down the middle using either a serrated knife or maybe a saw. If it's in the garden, you can just use a spade, and you just slice it down the middle, divide it, take one out, plant it wherever you like, and it tends to work really well. And it is common after you do this, sometimes the plant looks a little stressed out, but it usually bounces back pretty quick. So you put it in the ground or you put it in another pot, give it a little bit of water, and watch it kind of recover pretty swiftly from that. And again, yarrow, super simple. Another one is going to be right over here. The hardy perennial geranium is another great candidate for dividing. It's a lot different than the annual geranium you might be more familiar with. It tends to have these pink or these purple flowers, and it has a nice mounded growing habit. So we really enjoy that one in the garden. That mound just keeps getting larger and larger. And if you choose a variety like the Frei or the Roxanne, they tend to be rebloomers. So you get these flowers throughout the summer, which is really nice. Now there are some other varieties like the Cranesbill that kind of blooms once. It is a taller variety as well. So we just cut back the spent flowers, and then we get this nice mound of foliage, which we really like. Now, one thing that you'll notice is that most of the hardy geraniums tend to get this really dense coverage down at the bottom of all these new stems coming up, and they're really easy to just take your spade and cut through there, or to cut through with a saw or something like that, dig it up, put it in a new spot, and they respond super well to that and bounce back pretty quick. So hardy geraniums are another excellent option. And daylilies can be pretty easy to divide. Every 3 years or so, usually you can get a good crop out of them where you can spread them out or share them with friends. Daylilies are a popular one for sharing with your friends because they can be really prolific and do really well, and they're so easy to do this with. So let me show you on these here. So when it comes to daylilies, you can see like this Stella d'Oro, beautiful gold color. They come in tons of colors though. This is a great reblooming one along with some of the other repeat bloomers. And when you look at these, you can see they start sending up all these little baby ones that they kind of cluster together. And when you usually, I would wait till the end of season to do this with these. You just kind of split them apart and you can share them however you like. So some of the other varieties are even more clumping, so a little easier to break apart. So you can see this one has one big giant fan type one, and then more on this side. So you do have to be careful. This one can be a little bit more challenging if you do it too soon. So it's a good idea to wait until you've got some, lots of nice clumps that are really easy to break apart. That's going to give you the best success. And another one to consider would be some of the perennial grasses. And those vary a lot. So some varieties are really great for doing that kind of dividing. Like some of these here, you'll see when they kind of fill in really nice in the pot like that, or in the ground, and they just keep spreading. Usually you do just like what you did with the other plants I showed you. You just do that little divide, spread it, and it tends to respond really, really well to that. Now there are some varieties that are more clumping and other varieties that just aren't great for it, so do a little homework before you just start cutting your grasses up. But usually if it's a good clumping, spreading one that just kind of keeps getting wider and wider, usually you can just cut that right in half and it responds really well. So another good one. So those are the plants that we found are the easiest for us to divide, and they're ones that we've divided at all kinds of times during the season. So they're not as particular about they have to be dormant or they have to be where they're fresh blooms. We've kind of done them at any time, even if it's kind of against the rules, and we've had great success. So that's why I picked those particular plants. So go ahead and give it a try. Remember, you don't have to cut it right in half or cut it into fourths or whatever. You can just take a clump out and try it. That might be a little less risky for you and might feel a little more confident. Once you start doing it, then you're going to start learning other plants that you can expand that little motto to, and you'll be able to cover a lot more area without having to buy new plants. You can, if you love a plant that you already have, if you can get more out of it, might as well, right? So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all very soon.